Hi everyone, my name is Dan Phillips and I've been creating content for YouTube for quite a long time now, almost since the day YouTube went online. Behind me is part of my Garden Railroad collection that I purchased and started with my family about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's grown and shrank in size over time, but now every piece and part of that collection has an eventual purpose, or it holds significant meaning to us today. I'd like to take you through my collection and show you what each little part and piece means and where I hope to be taking my collection someday. A lot of my rolling stock is Bachmann. Made it pretty affordable to get, but I do have some nicer, more premium pieces from Aristocraft and LGB, as you can see up there. This is my long caboose, which I didn't really know anything about electronics, and I smoked the lights in it. I almost set a poor thing on fire. Hope to learn wiring and LED wiring to hopefully get this nice long caboose all lit up again in the future. If you have any great videos for learning how to wire cabooses, I'd certainly like to hear them. Then you see some of these other tanker cars. I mean, any railroad from this particular era, the 1950s, you got to have a couple of tank cars. And then you're going to see some Colorado pieces like this one, the Durango, Denver and Rio Grande Western. It's one of the most modeled and famous lines of all time. There's a Colorado and Southern next to another Denver and Rio Grande Western. These cars as well came to me already kind of kit bashed, and I love the detail on this one, so whoever did this before I owned it, they did a wonderful job. Coming on down, the top two rows here, the red Swift boxcar. Swift is a food packer, meats, has some significance to me because of the town of Fort Worth. Fort Worth was home to a big Swift meat packing plant in the Fort Worth stockyards, and the stockyards have a lot of significance to me. You guessed it, the railroad being there as well, the Tarantula train, which you'll hear about more on my channel in the coming weeks and months. Nice Aristocraft car there. Another Denver and Rio Grande Western. Below that, this was one of the billboard cars that my wife said I had to keep, and so I said, well, sure, I like the color, and she likes Hershey's Kisses, so she thought it was kind of sweet. Gotta have a little love on the railroad, so this one's for her. Unfortunately, me being a knucklehead and all, I knocked it off the shelf, so I've got a little bit of repair to do to reattach some of the detail pieces and to get those wheels working nice and smooth again. Coming on down is some of the more premium cars, from LGB. This really cool retro 1946 stamping on it. This apparently is what they look like back in the 40s and 50s. I love the color on that, and that retro advertisement for Union Pacific there on the side. Another Bachmann, just Union Pacific stamped vintage passenger car. This Santa Fe was a little bit of a surprise. I got it out on the line for the first time, and I noticed that it started making some noise. Well, it turns out it has some speakers under there. It's got a sound card on it. When the voltage gets to the right level and the wheels are turning at the right RPM, it will create some noise. Well, I got in a little bit of trouble. I say trouble with my Garden Railroad buddies. I had that car behind an F7 unit, and it started sounding like an old steam locomotive. They gave me a little bit of grief about that, but we all have a lot of good fun. Going in the Garden Railroad Club, another piece of advice I'd give to anybody that's getting into this hobby, and I'll talk more about that in another video as well. This is probably one of the most unique cars I have. Again, I didn't make it. I've never been to Yuma. I've never been to prison. But you have this, I can't tell if this was purchased this way or if somebody just kit bashed this. It's really pretty, even if it's kind of an ominous car. Why would you have a jail car on your train? But I still have it in my collection. I don't know if I'm going to want to keep it, but I don't really want to get rid of it. So there it is, Yuma Prison number 426. There is my venerable track cleaning car. You can see the Brillo pad hanging on there for dear life. As we come on down these next rows, I think just about everybody has one of these Aristocraft piggyback cars. I have mine. I don't know who Nielsen and Priest and Associates, all those people are, but somebody clearly customized this. These is originally stamped as Southern Pacific. I hope to get it back to that original lettering at some point. I also just got this car. I'm keeping it. I love the color. I'm not really a New York Central fan, but it's a railroad, so it makes me a New York Central system fan by that connection all on its own. A really interesting one here. This is from Oregon. OWRNN. I can't exactly remember what they stands for, but it's from Oregon, and it's a part of the Union Pacific Network up there. And me being with my town, Wills Point, my former hometown, being right along a Union Pacific main line, former Texas Pacific, I have to have a few Union Pacific pieces in my collection. Over here, more Rio Grande stuff, a Rio Grande gondola sitting on top of a flat car that's just waiting to do something. Then, sweeping over this way too, some Denver and Rio Grande pieces just waiting to be a part of a Denver and Rio Grande consist someday. I don't yet have a locomotive for them, but that's on my list of things to get. Last but certainly not least is my European collection. My wife and I got married and moved to Europe shortly after our wedding, and we started our family over there. We had 2 boys, and we've just since had another baby girl. So these next cars, these 3 along here, are all European, and specifically these 3 here are from the Reescherbahn in eastern Switzerland. Now, the Reescherbahn, as you might know it in German, is standard, or is a narrower gauge than standard. I don't know if it's narrow gauge in the American sense, but it's certainly a narrower gauge. And all 3 of these cars are significant because they are from the region of Switzerland where my boys were born. The coolest thing is where I found these 3 cars. My boys and I were in one of our local hobby shops here in Dallas, Fort Worth, down in Addison, and we walk up to the G-Gauge area of their store, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Sitting there right next to each other, these 3 cars. I called my wife, I told her what they had in the store. She knew what I was talking about. She knew they were significant, and walked out with these 3 cars for my boys. One more thing before we go inside is my other pride and joy, which is live steam. Here is my early 2000s AccuCraft Ruby, which is unfortunately on the shelf again due to some mechanical issues. I've only been able to run this once, but when I did, it ran super strong. I took it apart, cleaned it, put it back together, and now I'm finding I'm going to need to replace all of the seals and gaskets because it's just not quite getting enough pressure down to those tiny little cylinders. So old, unfortunately, they don't make any parts for it anymore, and that's a little bit the reason it's on the shelf right now. As you folks know who've done live steam, it can be pretty finicky, and I am a beginner at best. So in here, in my kids' playroom, or as my wife calls it, the train den, are all of my electronic locomotives. One of the most common locomotives on any scale of railroad has to be the Santa Fe F7A, and in some cases a B unit here, but of course that classic war bonnet paint. But those F7 units, I kept this one. I had a duplicate set from USA Trains, and I decided to get rid of that one because, well, I just liked this one better. One of the things that you can do on your own, because it's your railroad, you keep what you want and sell the parts you don't, especially if you buy a big collection. These next 2 pieces are, as I said, near and dear to the family. The locomotive there, the Reescherbahn, or VF Retica in Italian, that's the Arosa engine, number 622. I don't remember the exact type of it is. I think it's a GE44 if I'm looking at it, yeah. That I'm not an expert on the exact technical specifications, but I do know that the Reescherbahn is one of my favorites of all of the Swiss railroads. As I said, it's significant to me and my family because my boys were born in the state of Graubünden, where Reescherbahn runs all in that state, or canton rather, of Switzerland. And there's one of my passenger coaches. I eventually want to have a first class and maybe a restaurant car, but all in good time. I'm about the only guy I know that bought his wife egg liners for her birthday and for Mother's Day, but there they are. We saw these at our local train show. The kids absolutely went berserk when they saw these things running. And my wife, Paige, she also loves them too. Originally made by AccuCraft, the AccuCraft egg liner, then taken over by Bachmann. And these are brand new, bought from Bachmann just recently. So as you can see, garden railroading, a new and growing passion of mine. It's something that my family and I are just getting started in. We purchased a lot, an estate lot, and just kind of working our way through it and learning how it all works and building it as we go and having a lot of fun in the process. That's the kind of stuff I want to share with you on this YouTube channel, whether it's model railroading or our experiences on the real life railroads across Switzerland and the United States. And maybe even along the way throwing in some memories of mine over the years from television and broadcast production and how all of that art and science works as well. So thanks again for tuning into my channel. See you around.